Gate analysis, you have already studied gate analysis in your BPT class. Fine. You have an idea what is gate. Fine. You know what is stance phase, what is a gate cycle, what is a swing phase. You know about it. Fine. And we will be analyzing this gate, keeping in mind now the use of these functional kinesiological tools. Fine. How they have come up in telling us these determinants of gate. How are they calculating these temporal and spatial component of gates? Why are they calculating it like this? Okay, we will be thinking about it. So you have to just, you have the basic knowledge. Now let us just revise it and put things back in their holes. Fine. Now just as a gate cycle, you see that a gate cycle has got a stance phase and a swing phase, and you all guys know that stance phase is 60% of the gate cycle and swing phase is only 40% of the gate cycle. But you need to know there is another thing. There is a double limbed support phase which comprises of 22% of the gate cycle. Fine. Double limb support is a support when both the foot is on the ground or in contact with the flow. Okay, so in the ground on contact with the flow, it's a double limb support. It comprises of 22% of the gate cycle. So which we miss, and which is very important part, which when we compute on a computer, on a MATLAB computer through this software, they give you this kind of a breakup. They give you a breakup. What kind of a breakup? That how much is the stance phase, how much is the swing phase, how much is the left foot swing phase, how much is the right foot swing phase, how much is the right foot swing time, how much is the left foot swing time. Fine. It gives you this kind of an information. Now if we see for ourselves, you are well aware of these cycles. Gate cycle, I need not tell you again. Now, what do we measure? We measure through them. Very important thing is step length. Now, step length is of each foot. Step length is not this step length. Fine. A gate cycle is when the heel strikes, if I take the right foot, when the heel, I am going for a heel strike for the right foot, and when again I'll go for a heel strike, this is my gate cycle. That is a heel strike of the right foot and to another heel strike of the right foot. That will be my gate cycle. And if I'm doing it like this, this will be my left foot step length. And remember, the step length is, if you multiply by 2, you will get the stride length of the left foot. This is how we basically calculate when we do it our assessments, our manual assessments hum jab kar rahe hain. We do it like this. Now what this is the stride length, the step length, the step width. Can you see this width? It is the distance between the two, is the distance or the breadth between the two foot, that is right and the left foot is there. And there is another thing which is happening here is toe out angle. Now the toe out angle is, you might have read that in ankle and foot, but here toe out ankle measurement is when we are walking in on a line. There is a line of progression on which we walk. Fine. And if we take that as a line of progression and then make a line from the heel to the toe, second metatarsal toe. Okay? We place a longitudinal line from the heel of the foot to the second metatarsal, and an angle is made from the line of progression an angle is made from the line of the progression. This is line of progression, which is on which we are walking. Fine. It is different for the left foot and it is different for the right foot. Remember that. And the angle which is made from the toe, from the second metatarsal to the heel, becomes the angle of, or the toe out angle, which is just normally how much degree? Yes, not 10. 20? No. 5 to 7 degree. It is 5 to 7 degree. If it increases, this line of progression will be 3 line of progression. The person will go, गाड़ी की alignment क्या हो जाएगी? The गाड़ी सीधी नहीं जाएगी, कैसे जाएगी? ठीक है? The alignment will change. This is our alignments. Fine. Okay. Now, this is very important here because we will be discussing everything on this. Double limb support. It is an interaction between legs. That is where the rear limb is supporting body weight and propelling you forward, whereas the front limb is supporting body weight and marginalizing speed. That is, it is giving a negative ground reaction force. Now, what did this line say? If I am walking, fine, this is my rear foot and this is my forefoot. फ्रंट में है जो 4 foot है, this is my rear foot. Now this is responsible for, of course, taking my body weight. 50% should go over here, or some part should go over here and some part should come. This is there, but this is responsible for, the rear one is responsible for moving me forward. It is not the forward foot. It is the rear foot which is responsible for giving me a thrust to move forward, whereas my forward foot is basically slowing down this momentum of shifting. Why this is happening is, it is all the play of center of gravity. We don't want our center of gravity to shift. If it shifts very drastically, the chances of loss of balance will be more. We will fall. So it is a normal body mechanics is that if one is propelling you forward, the other will marginalize it. That is slow down, so that there is minimum vertical or horizontal displacement of the COG. Do you get it? Fine. That is why it is critical for the energy efficiency of gait. This double limb support is very critical for the more slow you walk, the better will be your, or more time will be there for the double limb support. And same goes, if you increase the speed of walking, the double limb support will decrease. Fine. And what will happen in running? Will there be any double limb support? Which we will study. This is what we are going to study. What will happen when the speed change, and what will happen, what changes will be there in the gait. Now, we have talked about this, and this is very important point, is the ground reaction forces. Now, we have already talked about it, that there is some kind of a vertical forces which are acting. But did you see over here, these are arrows, and these arrows are are different heights. Can you see that? And this is where the gait cycle is. In 50%, maybe I say 60% of the gait cycle, these arrows are drawn, but less the arrows are not drawn. Fine. You can see that. Number two, I want to say that the height of the arrows are varying. It is the vertical height. You understand? This is a point where the application takes place. The second is the magnitude of force and the direction. You know how it is represented. So you can see this. It is varying through the gait cycle. Fine. Now what is this? Is to, in order to study this, we have divided it into two parts. Two components, you know, the force components, the vertical as well as the horizontal component. Now the vertical component is when this ground reaction force rises above our body weight, and it represents whether the height or the magnitude of the force is rising above our body weight or below our body weight. What does this mean? It is center of mass. Whether it is above our center of mass or going below the center of mass. And this horizontal force is telling us whether it is giving us a pushback or a forward move. Pushback, as soon as we heel strike, there is a pushing back movement, as I told you in double limb support. Dekha tha? As soon as we heel strike, there is a pushing back support. We don't move forward. If we start moving forward, the trunk will fall off. हम कभी fall करते हैं when we walk? No. We basically, what we do is, what we are going to study is this also, in this point of view, that the moment we heel strike, our body actually need to fall off. There is some mechanism which happens in the body to make ourselves in a straight alignment. There is some mechanism which is happening all around. When this mechanism is not functioning, this becomes an abnormal gait. We should understand the normal thing so that we can understand the abnormal thing. So we will be talking about this. You understand what is the vertical forces and the horizontal forces? The ground reaction forces, they are the magnitude of the force. If it is going above the center of mass or above the body weight, then it is represented by the vertical line, and the horizontal line represents whether this force is responsible for pushing you backwards or propelling you forwards. Backwards or forwards represents the horizontal ground reaction force. Fine. Now this is why there were so many vertical lines. I wanted to show you these vertical lines. Now what happens here is, you understand, this is an arrow at heel strike. Can you see the arrow at heel strike? The magnitude, can you see that? It is at the heel. And see the progression over here, it has come up to toes. Horizontally this arrow is moving. Vertically this arrow is also moving. Can you see that? The height and the length of this arrow is also changing. Now what happens here is, as soon as the heel strikes or at the initial contact, the magnitude of ground reaction force is just at the heel, at the center of the heel. But as you go in for the loading process, or when you come, loading is foot flat process, fine, and herein you see it has moved towards the center. It's not at the center, but it is towards the center, and you can see the body weight, and it has crossed the body weight. It has gone vertically, the magnitude has increased, and it has crossed the body weight, means it has above the center of mass. Now when you come to the mid stance, it has already crossed the center of the foot, and here you see this is much smaller than this. At mid stance, remember, our center of our ground reaction force falls. I have seen there is a drop in the ground reaction force. Why? Because it is below our body weight. And then when you see in the push-up phase at the toes, the ground reaction force is again above our body weight. That means there is a increase, there is a height, or there is an increase in back to this ground reaction force. And what happens over here at toe off? It is at the toes, and the magnitude of the force is very less. Fine. So this is a simple way. Now this is how I want you to understand. But when you see, when a person is walking, and our MATLAB will show us, it will show us only this graph. Now this is again, this is the first graph which we have seen. Now you understand the meaning of this graph and these arrows. Is this clear? Now let us interpret this in this form, because we will be seeing something like this. We will not be seeing something like this. Fine. What we see when we see on a software, on a computer, on an analysis basis, is a graph like this. Now what is this? Is the ground reaction forces or the body weight and the gauge cycle. Now you see this is the vertical component and this is the horizontal component of the ground reaction force. Now what was the vertical component saying us? The vertical component was at heel strike. What was happening? There was very less vertical displacement. Was there any vertical displacement? No. What happened at the loading response? There was a first peak. First peak was there. That means there was an increase, or the reaction or the ground reaction force was surpassed, you right, surpassed our center of mass or our body weight. So that's why this is the first peak we got. What happened at mid stance? There was a fall, but it was vertical. Is this vertical? And there is a fall? Yes. And what happened here? Why there is a second peak? Because in heel of phase, there was again a increase. Can you see? There is an increase. There are two peaks. You understand, a peak and there is a drop. What is this for? And then there is a fall at the toe of phase. Can you see that? Yes. Is this clear? Why this is happening? Now what was happening at the horizontal component? At heel strike, what was happening? there was a backward, it was not propelling you forward, there was a backward negative force. That is why at heel strike you find a negative curve, and then as you progress forward there is a positive part which is coming up. Can you understand this now? This curve is clear. Now what happens over here is at toe off, that is more than 60%. We assume that stance phase is 60%. So in this cycle, if it is 100%, 60%, you will find the ground reaction force will act. But what will happen in swing phase? Since the foot is not in contact with the floor, so there will be no ground reaction force. So this will be the graph. And do you understand this graph now? Is this clear? Fine. So what we see is when a person is walking, we see a ground reaction force like this. And this is for the normal person. Fine. Now, when we see it in a force plate, when the person is walking, this is for one person. When the person is walking on the force plate, or these force plates are sometimes, they are put on this belt that is on a treadmill, and they have been installed over there itself. And the person walks on those force plate, and you can see how this right leg vertical movement and right leg horizontal movement is happening. Is this clear? How it will be represented when it is when this a result form in a result form it is shown to you. Is this point clear? Yes? Okay. Now to understand the next part of it, it is very much important that we have got this to make our gait efficient. To make our gait efficient, what we need to do is we need our trunk, our body, our neck, our upper limb, our pelvis, hip, ankle, foot, they have to interact in certain way so that they maintain the center of gravity to its near to our body weight, that is near to our center of mass. The aim is like this only. If it moves, if it drops and moves in a very good sinusoidal height, then our gait will become inefficient. Fine. Our COG basically follows a sinusoidal curve. There is a drop. You understand at heel strike there is a certain kind of a drop, whereas it increases and then it falls back again. It follows a sinusoidal curve. Now there is certain mechanism which our body uses to maintain this COG in a normal path and avoid the vertical and horizontal displacement. ज़्यादा horizontal and vertical displacement नहीं चाहता body. So what does this is? This is determined by this. These are called as the determinants of gait. It is basically adjustment made by the pelvis, hip, knee, and ankle to keep minimum movement of center of gravity, vertical and lateral excursion of body COG, thereby decreasing the energy expenditure and increasing the efficiency of gait. Fine. Now, what is the first thing which happens? Now, the first thing which happens is when we see it in the frontal plane is the pelvic drop. Now, what happens here is, if we can see for yourself that at mid stance, what is happening is when we compare it from the heel strike, at heel strike the COG was down. Okay? That is, it was low. But what happened at the level of at mid stance? It was high. Now at the level of mid stance in single limb support, if it was high and at heel strike it was low, we need our pelvis to move in certain order so that the COG is not, or the sinusoidal curve is not having so much great differences. The drop and the height should not have so much big differences. It should be within the normal limits. So how do we do is, when it is in this form at heel strike, what happens is up till mid stance you will see one thing. If you can place your hands at your ASIS and PSIS, now when it is heel strike and this, you will find the unsupported side. This is the supporting leg. This is the supporting leg, and on the unsupporting side the pelvis will drop. The pelvis will drop. There will be a lateral shift and a drop of the pelvis when the person is walking from a heel strike going into mid stance, and it has come into pre-swing. Can you see that? So there is a drop of the pelvis. If I can show you in this form, maybe I have an image, I'll show you there. There is a drop. Can you see? There was a drop. I did it purposely so that you understand. There is a drop. What happened here is this drop is responsible for bringing about an adduction movement of my supporting leg and abduction movement of my swinging leg, the unsupported leg, and is responsible for contributing in maintenance of this COG from dropping or from the drop to the height, from maintaining it near the horizontal, that is near to the average. To maintain it near to the average, there is some kind of an adjustment which is happening. That means an adjustment is required. So there is a drop on my non-supporting leg. There will be a drop on the non-supporting leg, and there will be an abduction of the limb of the non-supporting leg, whereas the supporting leg will go into adduction. This is a normal response which is happening. This is called as the lateral pelvic tilt in frontal, or a pelvic drop, wherein you can read later on what is all is written. Fine. You can see this is what happens. This kind of a drop which is seen is somewhere between 3 degree to 12 degree. This is between 3 degree to 12 degree. This is a normal drop which is happening. This is which is happening on the opposite side. So that this is the normal limit. It will never go minus. The range of this drop is somewhere between 3 to 12 degree. Fine, and it follows this curve. There will be, when you see in a frontal plane and you write pelvic tilt, it will show you in a gait cycle where it is rising and opposite side it is dropping, and then again it will rise and opposite side it will drop. So what do we do? How do we get this? We basically place sensors. I told there are anatomical markers, anatomical sensors are there. So these markers are placed around about ASIS and PSIS, and whenever the pelvis drops, how much this drop has taken place, it is put this markers, they draw it or plot it on a graph. Fine. So what we see is we have to just put over there what is the kind of pelvic drop is there, and they will put this in a graph. But you need to have a knowledge that this drop should be within that limits. It should not be more or less. Fine. Now the second thing which we see is the knee ankle foot interaction. Now as soon as the heel, we have seen that as soon as the heel strikes, the COG drops. You know that the height of the ground reaction force was how much? Was near, and there was a drop in the center of gravity, or the center of the reaction or the force. So what was happening is, in order to raise it, our knee basically goes into, what will happen at heel, when we heel strike, it is at 0, 30, 0, 0, and suddenly this movement takes place. What is this? 30, 15, 5, 15, 15. What is 30, 15, 15? Hip flexion is continued to 30 degree of flexion, whereas knee goes into 15 degree of flexion, and the foot goes into 15 degree of plantar flexion. हुआ था ये? अगर movement हो रहा है तो why this is happening? Why this is happening? This is basically happening in order to raise the center of gravity, which has already dropped at heel strike. So this is the interaction. Knees goes into flexion, ankle in dorsiflexion, and foot also goes into pronation. So there is shortening of limb which happens. Can you see? In nutshell, अगर आपको देखा जाए तो हम बोला जाएगा कि shortening of limb happens in order to raise the center of gravity. Now what happens at mid stance when it is already at high center of gravity? That is, it is raised at vertically and it is raised. What is, in order to drop it, we elongate the leg. We elongate the leg and bring the leg into knee into extension, ankle into plantar flexion, and foot into supination. We elongate the leg in order to bring it down, and we shorten the leg in order to bring it up. That is, we basically play with COG. First interaction was pelvic drop, which first thing which was there, which our body was doing in order to bring that center of gravity so that to a normal average level. The second change which we were doing was at knee, ankle and foot. We say it as knee, ankle, foot interaction. Fine. Now there is something called, in this plane, there is something called pelvic rotation. Now we analyze this in transverse plane. Now there is some kind of a movement. You see that in frontal plane we have seen that there is a pelvic drop. You have seen how this drop is taking place. Now there is kind of a rotation also happening. This rotation is also there. Now this rotation, how it is possible? Now if you can see the forward rotation of swinging leg with stance hip as the pivot. If this is the book and if this is the swinging leg, can you see, to swing it in the almost terminal swing, my pelvis has moved forward and this pelvis is acting as a pivot. If I can show you like this, if this is my pivot and this is the swinging, this is the stance foot and this is the swinging foot at the terminal part, can you see this pelvis has moved forward and this is a pivot. This hip is acting as a pivot. There is a forward rotation which is happening on the swinging leg. Forward rotation of the swinging leg with stance hip acting as a pivot, pelvis move forward at pre-swing and continues till terminal swing. That means it is moving forward. Now what will happen over here? Now if this is moving forward, of course this is acting as a pivot, it is bringing up a reverse force. It is bringing up a reverse force because it will not allow a quick movement to happen like this. So it is bringing, and what happens at mid stance, this forward rotation. Now as soon as this foot comes into heel strike, now this need to be slowed down. That means we don't want this to move. Now we want the pelvis to come into neutral. Now we want this pelvis to come into neutral. It was forward rotating and now we want this pelvis to come back to its neutral position. So in mid stance, this forward rotation of the pelvis is brought to neutral, and this is the reason, this is also contributing in maintaining our center of gravity to an average level. So this also prevents this drop of center of gravity in double limb support, this pelvic rotation. Now what happens in double limb support? हम बार बार बोल रहे हैं double limb support होता है. Double limb support कब होगा?
One leg heel strike, other leg just toe and toe off.
Toe off या heel off. एक का heel strike या foot flat. जब heel strike हो रहा है तो जरूरी नहीं कि दूसरे का toe off हो रहा है. जब हम quick walk कर रहे हैं तो मे बी वो last terminal part में ही हो. ठीक है, तो what we say is when one foot is coming into that foot flat, the other foot is coming into that, और foot flat to mid stance के अंदर है तो other foot is coming into heel strike. And this is the part when from the mid stance of if I say right foot is on mid stance, it's going into heel off and toe off. This is coming into mid stance. Now it is the right foot has come from the pre-swing and mid swing and terminal swing to heel strike, and this has already gone into from the mid stance to heel off and toe off. Can you see that? There is some time, double support time. The double support limb, this is called the double support time. That is when both the foot is there, and it is 3 times in the gait cycle this happens. 3 times in the gait cycle. We will see this in an image. I got that image also in this PPT. So 3 times in the gait cycle, this is a double limb support is there. So the stance limb rotation is only 4 degree, whereas the swing limb rotation is 8 degree. This is an important thing. The swinging leg is giving a more forward rotation, is bringing about more pelvic rotation as compared to the stance limb, which is bringing about just a role of a pivot. It is giving a role of a pivot only. Okay? Is this point clear? So in transverse plane, we will be seeing these images maybe in the next slide. Fine. So this is okay. And the next part, which is very important, is the movement of the trunk and the upper limb. Now remember that if the pelvis is moving forward, our trunk, if in heel strike, if this is moving forward and my trunk also move forward, then I will fall on the ground. The action of the trunk and the upper limb is just opposite to that of the lower limb and the pelvis, in order to maintain this center of mass and my center of gravity. So what is happening is, during normal walking, if the trunk remains straight, This is because of the activity of erector spinae group of muscle, because they are very active. And but as the speed increases, the trunk incline forward to catch the center of gravity. So there is a tendency to fall. हम जब run करते हैं तो there is a tendency to fall. We stumble also at that time. So the rotation of the trunk is opposite to that of the pelvic rotation. The trunk will, if it is moving forward, the swing leg is moving forward, the trunk is moving backward. Can you see? My opposite side limb is also moving backward. There is a lateral move, and my limb is moving. This is moving in front, but this is moving. My opposite side is moving. If I show you like this, this is the movement. Can you see this? There is a deviation here. In order to maintain myself, the trunk has moved towards one side, then the limb is also moving backwards. If one limb is moving forward, there is a opposite kind of a movement which is taking place. Herein, you see the rectus spinae, QL, rectus abdominal, prevent trunk falling into the flexion at heel strike and toe off. And in upper extremities, swing in opposite direction to the lower extremity and pelvis. Forward swing is brought about by supraspinatus, teres major and latissimus dorsi. Backward swing is brought about by middle and posterior deltoid. And range of motion is 30 degree. It is very important to tell you. This is the flexion movement of this. As soon as I heel strike, okay, there was a tendency for me to fall. So my trunk has moved this way. The tendency of my arm to move backward in extension is around about, if it is written as 24 degree, but this arm movement is only 4 degree of flexion. When you walk in a proper manner, when we walk, it is not when we are conscious, then we march like this. Otherwise, in a normal stance or a normal walking speed, the flexion of movement of the shoulder is only 4 degree, and the extension movement is, because of that truncal rotation, it is increased to 24 degree. The extension movement is more and the flexion movement is less. So total range is 30 degree. Total range is 30 degree. Fine. Pause. This was movement of trunk and upper limb. This was clear. We were talking about the range of motion 30 degree. Fine. Flexion is 6 degree and extension is 24 degree. Now what we see when we analyze it on that software is, we see this. What is this? Can you see there are 3 phases where there is a double limb support, which I told you. Okay? And whenever there is a double limb support, can you see a drop happening down? Observe this drop. This is a drop on the left. This is a drop on the right. This is a drop again on the right. Can you see what has happened here? The right heel is in contact and the left foot has gone into toe off. This is the phase. This is the phase wherein you see this is the right is the supporting limb. The left has gone into swinging phase, toe off, and it will go into drop. The left drop is there. Can you see this? It has been pictorially depicted. Yes, this is a drop. Now what happens in this phase? Where the left foot has come into that heel strike and now the right foot is going into that swing phase, toe off to swing phase. The drop should be on the right side. Can you see this now? Fine. And herein you see again the thing is happening here. The last part. So in a gait cycle, 3 times you can see double limb and the drop and the, fine. Why there is a drop? Logical hai. And where to find this drop? Is this logical? Now if you find a drop somewhere here where there should not be there, then it should be a question mark to you. Fine, you need where to find this drop. Is this graph clear? Now can you see this graph? Whenever there is a drop, you can see the graph is coming or dropping depending upon which limb is involved. Whether you have taken right as a dominant limb or the left as a dominant limb. Okay? So this is the graph, how it has been shown. It will be shown and this is how it is basically been depicted. Fine. These are the movement and the graphs again. The last graph you have seen, it showed only this movement. Now this is for all the 3 movements, these graphs will be shown. One is showing the interior to posterior tilt. One is showing the pelvic obliquity and the last is showing the pelvic rotation, that is forward and backward movement. Can you see the graph in it? Wherever there is a rotation, why there is a height here, bhai? Why there is a height here? Because as soon as you heel strike, what is happening here? What is happening here? This there is already a movement of pelvic forward movement. The pelvic rotation is taking place. Can you see this? Okay, it is from this position, that is from the swinging leg. This is at height till the time it drops. It drops when as soon as it goes into heel strike, but it is already at a high position, that is rotating forward. It goes down on the backward drop position when it is moving backwards. That is forward rotation, it will show a height. Backward rotation, it will show a drop or a fall. This I was telling you, the 3D motion analysis. It tells us more about the stride analysis, cadence, step length, contact time, flight time of each leg, foot analysis, ankle analysis, knee analysis, hip analysis, upper body analysis, pelvic tilt, rotation, COG, vertical displacement. Now these parameters are clear. Is these parameters clear? Is there any doubt regarding these parameters? You will be able to observe. Now you know what to observe in this report, normal gait cycle report. Fine. Now we have to tell you about running. The part is, now if the speed of this gait changes, that is we come into running. Now what will happen is, in order to do this running test, there is some kind of a sensors we need to put. That means I just told you, when we are walking, we may be walking with two or three force platform, but when we are running, we have to run on a treadmill. Because why so? Because the force platform can be two, or we need to, if we need to run, then the speed can be altered very easily through a treadmill. So there is requirement of two force plates which are independently recording the ground reaction force. We require a tracking frame for the quads and the TA, because the action is maximum. I have written just two. It can be, there are more, gastoc soleus, hams. You need to put all those trackers around. And anatomical reference markers, they are basically, we use as medial malleoli. We never use lateral malleoli, because fibula is said to be an extra bone, because it is mostly absent. You know that it is not present in all. So that is why we take all, every time we need to check, we check for the anatomical markers which are there which can be used for all person, on an average, a human being. So we take as medial malleoli as a marker, or medial joint line as a marker. I can take ASIS as a marker, PSIS as a marker. So these markers are taken so that we can understand what kind of a movement is taking at that point. So EMG sensors are of course at the muscle sites, and then we compare our running from 1 mm to 1.5 mm. 1 mm we will just walk. 1 to 5, what happens when when the speed is taken into 1.5 meter per second to 2 meter per second to 2.5, and 3 is full-fledged. We come into that phase where you are running on your toes. Now what happens basically when we run? When as speed increases, contact decreases and swing increases. This is as simple. Fine. There is no double limb support. Fine. Both the foot fall on one line along the line of progression. When we are running, we run on one line of progression. एक ही दोनों पैर जो आ रहे हैं वो एक ही लाइन ऑफ प्रोग्रेशन में चल रहे हैं. ये नहीं है कि इसका अलग और इसका अलग. हम ऐसे कभी रन नहीं करते. ठीक है. अगर ऐसा कोई रन करते हैं, हम बोलते हैं टैक्सिक गेट में आ रहा है, अलग से रन कर रहा है, फ्लैट फुटेड होगा. फ्लैट फुटेड वाले जो होते हैं वो टू लाइन ऑफ प्रोग्रेशन के साथ चल रहे होते हैं. Fine, but we run into the one line of progression. Stride length and stride frequency increases with speed. What is stride length? Stride length and stride frequency increases with speed. Now what happens is, when we have to run for a long time, what we do is, हमने अगर run करना है तो हम small steps नहीं लेंगे. हम क्या करते हैं? We try to leap around. We try to leap. We try to cover as much distance as we can with one step. So this is how the stride length and the frequency, of course We want to run, so we will be doing it quickly, and we want to see that the distance more is covered at less time. So the speed is and the frequency in which the stepping takes place is will increase in running. Now the next is the stride frequency. Depends upon one, what is the range of motion of my hip. If it is restricted, will I take a good stride? If my hip extensors and gluteus maximus and glutes are not working properly, or they are not strengthened, they are wasted, will I be having that force to give a good stride while running? No, bhai. Fine. So it totally depends upon the strength of and the range of motion of the hip musculatures. Can you see that? The hip extensor range of motion. Now there is something called barefoot running. Why we avoid saying others that don't go for a barefoot running is because it causes foot pronation. It causes foot to pronate, and thus it increases the ground reaction force. Chances of injury increases. The foot will pronate. What will happen when the foot will pronate? What will happen? What will happen at the knee? What will happen at the knee? Can you see when the foot is what is happening at the knee? क्या हो रहा है? बोलो. Injury हो रही है. Of course, the collaterals are being stretched. You can see that there is a stretching of one side collaterals and there is compression on the other side. The chances of injury at the knee is more. The chances of meniscal injury is also very more. Okay? So that is why we say that chances of foot pronation is more, the ground reaction is more, and the injury is more. That is why we never say to go for barefoot running. What we do is, if the person is a 400-meter runner, 400-meter runner, so then there will be contact swing. What is this contact swing? Is only 22%. What is this swing? Contact swing is only 22%. What does this mean? Maximum, if the person is running, you understand that the phase of swinging will be more as compared to the phase of standing. The contact support phase is only 22%, whereas less 78% of it will go into the pure swinging phase. Running is only then only it's possible. In long runner 1500-meter race, the contact swing is gone into 31% because he has to run for a long period of time. So the contact space is more. That means जो मैं report कर सकती हूँ, जो मैं check कर सकती हूँ, 22% के चीज को और 31% की चीज को ही check कर सकती हूँ भाई. बाकी जो वो कर रहा है फ्लाइट मोड में कर रहा है, मैं उसको चेक नहीं कर सकती. I cannot check. The graphs and everything will be difficult or for me. But what I can see is the contact part of it. Okay. Now this is what is very important. What happens when we walk and what happens when we run. Now if you see for yourself, the entire cycle, in running the swing phase is longer, whereas in walking the stance phase is longer. Fine. The double limb support is not there in running, but it is present in walking. Floating period, of course, is there in running. When is there any floating period in walking? What happened to the position of center of gravity? The center of gravity is low and it is high while walking. You know, when we run, you have seen how they take a stance, they lean themselves forward and then they try to run. If you stand like this and run, you will stumble. They are using this COGs, they are using, they bend themselves to bring that COG much low. Fine, so they are using their trunk. Fine. Vertical oscillation is less. Of course, you understand if the trunk is moving forward, the vertical translation or oscillation will be less in running and it is more in walking. You can know that, easily be noted. Stride length is long in running, whereas it is small in walking. Stride velocity is higher in running and lower in walking. We have already discussed everything. That's why I'm just reading. Angular velocity is or linear velocity is faster, of course. Running के अंदर velocity will be faster as compared to walking, it is slow. The muscle activity is more in running as compared to in walking. Range of motion is great in running, less in walking. Leg in swing phase, muscular movement is there. Whereas in walking, momentum के साथ walk कर रहा है वो. No muscle action is happening in the swing phase. You will see, we will discuss about it, the muscle activity, and you see it is in just a momentum this work is happening, just as a pendular movement it is happening. As a reverse pendular movement it is happening. Okay? But it is muscular effort is required to bring about that swing phase in running. Foot progression line is 1, whereas in walking the foot progression line is 2. I want to stall, मैं आराम से वॉक कर रही हूँ, एक इधर एक इधर एक इधर, मेरा दोनों पैर अलग अलग फुट से कर रहे हैं, and then I am also what I am limping also, I am swaying also, I am waddling also in between. ठीक है? So that is, it has got 2 line of progression and it has got 1 line of progression, whereas the ground reaction force is 2.5 of the body weight, whereas in walking it is just the body weight. Can you see that? Running के वक्त 2.5 times your body weight forces are acting. So that is why it is very important that you, when you run, I just gave you an example while we were talking about that vertical jump. As soon as the person lands, there's all kind of forces which acts. If he lands on a flat foot, the force will be more, and it will be, the joint will be, the capsules, ligaments will be more injured as compared to if he lands on the toes. So we teach them how to land also, because we want that it need to be dissipated more. That means that movement of the toes should be splaying. The movement should be, the arch should just be flat. The transverse arch should come down as flat. We teach them to just lower down the transverse arch. Fine? Okay. Now, what we will see on normal treadmill force is, or normal foot, you see this is an alternate foot, where this is for, if it is for the right, this is for the left. Fine. You can see these 2 peaks as we have seen. This is for the COG. So you know that it will be rising at, it is dropped at the heel strike, but it will rise at 2 points, one at the loading, another at the heel off time. ठीक है, 2 टाइम के ऊपर वो राइज कर रही थी. You can see, and there is a little bit drop at the mid stance. You can see that, but it on an average we say that after heel strike the COG rises, and after toe off or after heel off it drops. A general statement is like this. And if it is for the right, you can see on the opposite side, it is, there's no curve can be noted because it is already there in the swing phase. Fine. Now when the speed increases, what happens? This was for the normal one, when the person was walking. This, आपको जैसे ग्राफ मिलता है, have you ever seen ECG कैसे बनती है? Continuous note होता है. This graph is continuous which you will get. Fine, it is a continuous movement, and as soon as you shift the speed, suddenly the graph changes. Suddenly the graph changes. Now this is, now when the speed is changing, that is you have brought him from 1 meter per second to 2 meter per second. What will happen here? This graph shows about the force. As soon as the heel strike takes place, there is a sudden ground reaction force which has been recorded. As soon as the foot hits the ground, that is at the toe off phase, because when you run on your toes. You never run on your heel. You run on your toes. So as soon as the foot strikes the ground, not the heel strike the ground, as soon as the foot strikes the ground, this is the first contact which happens. Fine. But as soon as the foot contacts the ground while we are running, we are basically giving a negative force. Our body is giving us a pushback force. Why? Because we don't want ourselves to fall on the ground. So when we are running, our body is continuously giving what? A pushing back. So you get a negative Though the first contact is a positive one, but then it decelerates. And then there is a pause, and then again this happens. In this pause, you can see from the opposite side, opposite limb has already come into that, the first strike, the toe has already struck the ground. So this graph goes for the second one. Can you see the difference? What is happening? Herein, the peaks has already gone. There is no peaks here because the contact has already gone. There is no heel strike, foot flat, कुछ भी नहीं है. There's only toes which are working. That is, it is only contact with the toes. So as soon as it strikes, then it pushes backward, and then it goes for the second strike. As soon as it push backwards, the other limb is already into that strike mode. Fine? Is this clear? Now what happens when the speed is 3 meter per second? The deceleration is more as compared to the strike. The strike is almost now vertical. There is no proper up and down. The deceleration is more. Aim is to prevent yourself, the aim of the body or the muscles is now to prevent yourself from falling forward as the speed increases. So all the muscles are acting to decelerate or preventing the COG or preventing the body to fall. Fine. Why so? Because you are moving faster and faster. The muscle activity is more now. So the activity is to decelerate. The body is acting to giving you a backward force so that you maintain your balance. The aim of the body is not to run. The aim of the body is to maintain your balance while running. Fine. And what happens here? If we see this was a double while it was walking, there was a two peak structure. Now you see this peak structure as only one. The peak structure is only one. There is no dropping, there is no height. It has only maintained its 1 point. Fine. As soon as it strikes, the peak will change. So this is how this analog need to be, or these graphs need to be studied when the person is running from a speed of 1 meter to 2 meter, 1.5 meter to 2 meter. This is how the graph will keep on moving. Now we see the efficiency of running as decrease in vertical displacement of center of gravity. The less the displacement or less the vertical displacement of center of gravity, the better efficient is your gait in running, or better is your running. The running should be in one line of progression. The foot strike should be closer to the COG. Increased stride length should be there, and shortening of the swinging leg. If this is all happening, we say it is an efficient kind of a running is happening. Fine? Okay. Now, just 5 minutes and I'll be giving you homework. I will not be taking this topic because I'm already done with this. There are around about 10 to 15 slides also. You can go through those slides. It is up to you if you want to go through them and try to make your own assignment. But I'm just giving you an insight to how to do that assignment. Fine? This is your work, not my work now. Because since you have done this in your BPT, in your 4th sem, you have done this. Now, what is there in your syllabus is kinetics and kinematics of gait. Since I took this, I have just added these slides. Yesterday I gave one PPT to Aman. These slides were not added on it. मैंने इसको सिर्फ इसलिए add किया क्योंकि this is a topic, separate topic given to you guys, and a separate 10-mark question is given to you for this. Fine. So kinetics and kinematics of gait. Now you understand what is kinetics and what is kinematics. You know that? Fine. What is, if you have to analyze the motion, you say it is a kinematics of gait. What motion is happening? What motion is happening? And if you see that it is flexion motion, or it is extension motion, or whether it is plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, motion is happening, you say it like this. And if you have to identify the direction of motion happening, that is called as the kinetics of gait. Fine. There are two variables which is happening, motion as well as the Now I want you to tabulate it. I wanted to you guys to tabulate it. Tabulate what? First understand and tell me which motion analysis you want to do. Whether it is for hip you want to do, whether it is for you will decide first the gait cycle, like it is for initial contact to foot flat. Fine. It is for initial contact to foot flat. Fine. You will tell me first what is the motion which is happening. Motion analysis. Which motion are you assessing? Whether you are assessing the ankle, whether you are assessing the knee, whether you are assessing the hip, whether you are assessing the pelvis, whether you are assessing trunk, or whether you are assessing upper limb. आपको कितने रखने हैं headings? कितनी है headings? I'm not telling you to do a sagittal and frontal. I'm telling you to tell me everything about. Fine, everything about it. Fine, okay. Now you have to tell me if. Then tell me the second column should be identify the direction of movement. Identify the direction of movement. Now you see, if the movement is happening against the gravity, you need to check whether the movement is happening against the gravity. If this movement is happening against the gravity, then the movement will be produced by the concentric contraction of agonist group of muscles. Fine. नेहल समझ नहीं आ रहा? नहीं आ रहा? Last line समझ नहीं आई. Okay, I'm just helping it out. How you will say which muscle will work, how this muscle is going to work. I don't want you guys to learn them. I just you guys to think about them and write it yourself. This table is yours. Just giving you an idea. यहाँ मैंने आपको ground reaction force दिया है. आपने notice किया मैंने पहले दिन आते सारी ये चीज लिखवाई थी उससे. You see the ground reaction force, hip, it is acting anterior, it is passing anterior to hip, it is passing anterior to knee, and it is passing posterior to ankle. But here when you progress, this has changed to posterior to hip, anterior to ankle, anterior to knee. You need to check whether the movement is against gravity or towards gravity. अब gravity यहां क्या लिया है हमने? The ground reaction force. समझ में आई? Movement क्या लेना है आपने? अगर ये movement against gravity हो रहा है, then the movement is caused by the concentric contraction of agonist group of muscle. अगर ये movement क्या हो रहा है? अगर ये मूवमेंट अगेंस्ट ग्रेविटी हो रहा है, ठीक है, तो दिस विल बी डन बाय द कंसेंट्रिक एक्शन ऑफ द एगोनिस्ट मसल, दैट इज द प्राइमरी मूवर. फाइन. इफ द मूवमेंट इज टेकिंग टुवर्ड्स द ग्रेविटी, इफ द मूवमेंट इज टेकिंग टुवर्ड्स द ग्रेविटी, आई एम टेकिंग दिस एग्जांपल, ठीक है, इफ इट इज मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द ग्रेविटी, then you have to control this movement. Therefore eccentric work of antagonist will happen. Eccentric control of antagonist is going to happen. Herein my biceps is going to work eccentrically to give about this movement. It is not done by the triceps. समझ में आ रहा है? मैंने ये पहले मूवमेंट की, इसमें कॉन्सेंट्रिक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन किसका हो रहा था? बाइसेप्स का हो रहा था. मैंने यही मूवमेंट की, नाउ टुवर्ड्स ग्रेविटी की, नाउ इसेंट्रिक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ एंटागोनिस्ट ग्रुप ऑफ मसल. एक्शन तो ट्राइसेप्स कर रहा था. गॉट इट? नाउ इफ यू हैव टू होल्ड अ मसल अगेंस्ट ग्रेविटी, लाइक इन मिड स्टैंस, हम न्यूट्रल पोजीशन में भी रखते हैं. हमारे गेट में काफी हद तक हमारी न्यूट्रल पोजीशन में भी रहेगा, एंकल न्यूट्रल पोजीशन में रहेगा. इन दैट कंडीशन देयर इज आइसोमेट्रिक कंट्रैक्शन ऑफ एगोनिस्ट ग्रुप ऑफ मसल टेक्स प्लेस. आइसोमेट्रिक कंट्रैक्शन ऑफ एंटागोनिस्ट ग्रुप, एगोनिस्ट ग्रुप ऑफ मसल, इट टेक्स प्लेस. इसने 2.5 किलो का से डाल दिया. ढा 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 बनाएंगे तब देखेंगे, कॉपी पेस्ट कर देंगे और क्या. ठीक है, कॉपी पेस्ट करने का कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. Taking one example here. Now you see, in initial contact to foot flat, you see that the hip was in this position. It was 30 degree of hip flexion, 0 degree of knee, and 0 degree was at ankle. Fine. Now in foot flat, you can see this has happened. Again, this has remained 25 degree of hip flexion. If I can say, there is 15 degree of knee flexion and 15 degree of plantar flexion at ankle. Now you have to understand the movement. क्या मूवमेंट हुआ इसमें? मैंने फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या बोला? सबसे पहले तो मूवमेंट को एनालाइज करो, कौन सी मूवमेंट हो रही है. अब हम एंकल की बात करें तो एंकल में मूवमेंट क्या हो रही है? एंकल के ऊपर मूवमेंट क्या थी? 15 डिग्री ऑफ प्लांटर फ्लेक्शन. प्लांटर फ्लेक्शन. नाउ सी द ग्राउंड रिएक्शन फोर्स. The ground reaction force is moving behind the joint axis. There is an extension movement taking place. What will happen? The movement is plantar flexion and the movement of ground reaction force is also, आपको समझ में आता है? Ground reaction force, when it is anterior, there is a flexion movement which is happening. When it is posterior, there is an extension movement which is happening. You understand this or not?
Yes.
So, is this movement towards the gravity or away from gravity? Is the movement towards the gravity or away from gravity? Towards the gravity. What kind of a work should happen here? Eccentric work of antagonist muscle. कौन सा antagonist muscle है हमारा? Tibialis anterior, dorsiflexus. The eccentric work of dorsiflexus will be there. This is how you will calculate. समझ में आ रहा है? करना क्या है? लॉजिकली थिंक करना है और अपने आप अपना आंसर ढूंढना है. ये टेबल मैंने निकाल के दिया, ठीक है? अब आपने याद रखना, मगअप नहीं करना इस चीज को. आपने सिर्फ एंगल्स याद रखते हैं. दैट इज whether the movement, what movement is happening, if it is 30 degree, whether this 30 degree is continuing, that means वो neutralize हो रहे हैं, you have to think about it, or the angle is reducing or increasing, you have to see for that. You need to see also the ground reaction force, whether it is anterior or posterior. Then you need to apply this formula. Which contraction of muscle will takes place? You can make your own table. You will make this table for hip, knee and ankle. Pelvic movements तो खुद ही बता सकते हो. You will study about it. बता ही सकते हो. फॉरवर्ड है तो फॉरवर्ड मूवमेंट हो रही है, बैकवर्ड मूवमेंट हो रही है, ट्रंक की मूवमेंट क्या हो रही है, whether it is moving in the forward direction or backward direction, and upper limb movement.